3, 2, 1. Ted Rogers. That's many years ago when I was a young boy. I used to watch that. Dusty Bin. Okay, so introducing our second product now we're going to use tonight, which is Fat Muck Volumizing Spray. And I'm going to put this into there. So this will do one of two things. Number one, it contains panthenol, which will wrap itself around the hair and thicken it up and make the strands nice and thicker. Number two, it allows us to give the hair a little bit of volume. So we'll just put that around there and get that on. You can see the bubbles basically are on the hair, which then creates the volume. So let's just come around this other side where you are. So we're looking at the head being in the right position, subdividing the haircut. Come right in on this other side with the shoulder. So, cool. Okay, so now we're just going to come in and just drag the finger as we do it. Again, we're looking at a C shape on this, which then creates a nice shape as we're coming through. I think everybody will notice a difference with your hair tomorrow. I think they might, just a slight one. Okay, so you can see, let's just move around this way. Just perfectly, you can see everything. You can just see the C starting to create now. So we just come through, and again, it's important to move the fingers as you're doing this. Otherwise, what happens is you take too much out with the length. So just keep it moving, and it creates that nice C shape, which is really important. Okay. And then what happens then is you get a disconnection in the back, so we just pull that out through here, take another little piece from the back, and then just bring that in so we can just see what's happening. You can just see that tiny bit of disconnection there. That just joins those two together, which then creates that C shape, which then makes it look really, really perfect. Okay, let's just come back round to this side. All of a sudden the viewers are on the right side. Okay, let's just make sure we've not missed anything on this side. So we're messing around while the BT box was playing up. That's it, we'll just come through this side now, just clean that off just slightly. So I want your friends to be able to see the cut the way it's been done, so when they see it they'll be looking and saying, oh yeah, it looks really cool, it looks very, very different. Okay, so there we are, just a tiny bit in the corner there. Okay, so we've now got the C shape cut through. Now I'm going to go through the back. Okay, so we're going to subdivide this off. Again, going through the apex through to the mastoid process. And what we'll do now is we'll work this in two ways. We're going to be working layers through the back, slowly working up to a 45-degree angled layer to the apex, which is in this position, which will then start to bend them at a 45-degree angle, then go through the top at a 90-degree angle layer. Most layering you would do on longer hair generally will come around to this point here and stop. This is going to go even further round in a minute. They're just taking the edges off, so we're going to go a little bit higher. We're going to go from the occipital bone. Again, keeping the sections really, really clean as we're doing this. Making sure the balance is perfect. Okay, so now I'm just going to go and take this section first, so we'll just get the first section. Now we're going to look at two things on this. Got to make sure the layer's right in terms of the angle of the layer. Look at the length at the back, that's the length, we don't want to go any shorter than that. Take the weight off it, that's gone. Now I need to then take a step to the side to 7 o'clock. Keeping the cut nice and clean, moving round, replicating the layer that we've just done there, but keeping the length with the haircut in the back. Then stepping round to 8 o'clock. So it's a moving guide and we're stepping out towards the mastoid process. Then we go round to a little bit more towards 8:30 to 9, which is about 8:30. Take that off, which again denotes the corner of the chair and the mastoid process, which I was talking about earlier. Now we're going to go back to the other side, bring this round. You can come around this side if you want to. You're not on the live feed, so it's cool, you can go right on the corner. Brilliant, thanks Dad. Right, now the hand changes position. Same again, replicated with the tiniest amount off and then leaving the length. Then I'm going to move round to the side, so we'll come around at 5 o'clock. So it's a travelling guide with time. Again, I'll keep it nice and clean on the section. Then moving round again to the mastoid process and the corner of the chair, so we replicate the other side. And then all we do then is elevate to the same position as what we did earlier to check it off, see if there's any bits that shouldn't be there. Come around to this other side, again remembering where to stand as what we previously did, because this is the guide now that we're checking just to make it sure it's right. Both sides are level. We now proceed with the next part. Your sister's thinking, interesting. Okay, so now we do it all again. Replicate exactly what we've just done. So, using blunt cutting, club cutting, which makes the hair look thicker. Pulling the section out again and replicating to what we just did. So we're now going to the second knuckle to keep the sections clean and keep our fingers intact. Moving round. So we can now just come through and everything's nice and clean. That's it. Just get a better angle on there. Second knuckle rule, which is really important. People tend to cut themselves when they're doing hair, which is really important. You have to think about these things. Okay, just coming around this side now. There we go. Take that off. Just make sure everything's clean. And then move around to your last position, which is back again on the corner of the chair. Mastoid process. Okay, now we come back round to the other side. This is still looking thick and still there, even though it's layered. Okay, so now replicating again with the fingers, making sure there's no drag. The drag's really important, that you don't get any drag there. Otherwise the layers won't sit right. And again, just keep it nice and clean. Moving around, the importance of this is by taking the layers slightly on a travelling guide, it creates more of a shape on the sides. If you were to pull this all back to the back of the hair, it would be more solid on the corners, which would then create a very, very heavy effect on the sides. But we want to be able to give Nicole other options to be able to do her hair. Oh, she's smiling, we've got a smile. It's good. Excellent. She's thinking, I can't believe I'm sitting here doing this. My mum's really set me up. That's it. Sorry, sister. Your sister's really set you up. That's it. Okay, back to the side. That's it. You worked the cameraman well tonight. Well done, Dad. You're doing a great job. Thank you. Right, so now we go back again. It's really important to have a process while you're doing this to keep it clean. So it's the same height as the head. Just taking that off through there. Moving around again. So it's some travelling guide. Just to keep it nice and clean. Again, you're only taking it off to the second knuckle because that's your guide of where to go to. You can see the piece that needs to come off. Bringing everything back to the mastoid process, back of the chair. It's really important to think about all these things while you're cutting hair. You have to think about discipline, otherwise you could lose yourself while you're doing this haircut. So to think about how you're standing, hand positioning, body positioning, execution of the cut, where it's going, taking the sections. There's a lot of things to be thinking about. Just move around this way so we can get the set. There you go. That's the one. Alright, so you're taking tiny sections as you're doing this, bringing it back to the corner of the chair, which again, this is just creating the bottom shape layer so everything sits nice. Right, now we go through, this is called a quadrant because you're using one corner of the haircut. So you get 4 parts of a haircut, as everybody knows. When you colour hair, on the top you get the cross. As you go onto the top of the head, which creates corners. This is called a quadrant because it's 1/4. So just looking at the second quadrant, which would be from the back of the head to the back of the ear. As you lift that out, then you're able to check that off and make sure that everything's level. Okay, so that's everything level, which is nice to see. my cutting's level. Right, so we're going back now to the apex to the mastoid process, which is where we started to begin with. What we're going to do now is shape the top part. So we're going to go from the apex through to the mastoid, so to the upper occipital bone, which is going to give us a nice shape through the top. So this will be worked in sections through there as if you're doing sections of a cake. So section 1, really important to be able to lift the hair. Now the key part of this is, when you're doing it, that there's no drag here with the hair, because if you drag it you get a longer layer. So the only way you can create this is, if you watch my arm now, push it up slightly and it creates the lift. This is called the mechanics of a haircut. So you just take that edge off there to the second knuckle, take a little step round, and then take another section of a cake, push the arm up again, because it creates the magic to the layer what you need to be doing. If you're cutting out and layering like that, you cannot obviously get the layer right. So then you step round again, and literally in a position where the arm pushes up, and that again creates the correct angle. Again, it's all about discipline. Now at this point I can now spin around, which I'm going to go over the other side so the camera can get me. So I work from this position, now I'm going to spin around with my body, and I'm able to go from this way and face the guest at the same time. Generally people do this and they're facing backwards. Hi. You need to be able to see now. Watch my arm on this arm, and I pushes that way. So again, it creates the shape on this side, which then replicates the look. We then step round just slightly, and then again lift it up and push it with the arm, and that just pushes it into the correct position. The alternative would be, if somebody was doing this, they would be standing this way and they would be cutting hair that way to create the layer. But what that's in fact doing is you're facing the opposite way to the guest. So by standing this way and pushing with your arm, you're able to then face the guest and continue the conversation. So we can now look at the quadrant. So looking at the angle again, because remember it was a rounded angle, so we need the hair at a slightly rounded angle, and then again just take that corner, come through this part now, slightly angled up again, because remember we're not doing a square layer, we've done a slightly rounded layer. But you didn't realise there was that much involved in hairdressing, did you? That's it. So now we've got the back part of the haircut completed, which we can see the layering and everything's moving on its own. Right, now we're going to do the top part. This is how it's going to work. We'll work with the parietal ridge. So the first part will be a uniform layer that's square. The second part after the parietal ridge is a rounded layer. So we know the parietal ridge is the important part that tells us to change the angle of the haircut. If we were to pull the layers back, each section back to this section, it would create a point to the front, but we don't want to do that. We want to create a strong shape through the front, which is a nice curve. So that's why we're going to take these sections this way. So let's go through it. Section 1, take out the parietal ridge, lift it up, again using the finer part of the comb so everything grabs it nicely. Okay, lift it up. Now the important part of this is this. The arm goes up, second knuckle. Now we go to the parietal ridge where it changes, which then gives us a chance to then spin it over, so we pull it out at an angle without pulling your hair out on the knot. Now this is important, you've got, that's the length I've just cut, which then creates a triangle of weight, which now we just take it off, the arm's in the right position, body's in the right position, off it comes to the second knuckle. Next piece, which you then continue all the way to the front. But again, it's all about the discipline to make sure as you lift it up, you can see the angle just there, it comes off. Parietal ridge, which is the discipline to be able to cut from, and then again pushing out with the arm, off it comes. Moving away towards the front, Nicole, you'll be cutting hair in your sleep tonight. Up it goes. Your sister might be. She'll be making some notes when she goes to bed tonight, trying to work it all out. Okay, and then off it comes just there. But again, it's all in the angle of the arm. Okay, last piece. Just lift this up from the parietal ridge. Okay, tiny amount off. Then at the parietal ridge, pushing out and taking off. Okay, so now we come to check it off. So what we do is we just literally lift it up, square on the first part, see if anything needs to come off. Second part, slightly rounded, so you're bringing that back towards yourself, and this is the quadrant 3. Slightly rounded, because again we're not going square, because that's what we did earlier. We're now coming rounded on this to check that off. Okay, so that's the next part. So now we're going to go around to the other side, which now we have to look at where we're going. So we've got the tiniest amount of a square layer through the top to the parietal ridge, which is just there. So now we're going to take a tiny section, take it from the parietal ridge, lifting it up, arm up to the body, because you've got to think about your well-being. If you don't stand correctly, then your body will be in a bad position, well, a bad way when you get older. Okay, lifting it up now slowly. You've got, again, that's the length that we've just cut off. That's the triangle of weight in the middle. It's well within my second knuckle radius that I wanted to cut, so that's the discipline. Again, taking it off to the parietal ridge, it's so important to get all these highway maps in the hair that I was talking about earlier on, because it keeps you disciplined where you're going with it. You have to think about your body positioning, where you're going, lift it up. Here's another magic comb, as if by magic. There it goes. So we now take that section there to the parietal ridge, lift it square, take the tiny section off. Again, the main discipline here is, friends, that you keep the arms, the position and the way you're standing with your body. I'm not bending my body over, I'm not putting my body under any stress. It's purely just the way that you have to stand to be able to get everything perfect. So again, squared up on the top. As we work towards the recession area on the parietal ridge now at the front, there's a slight bit there that comes off. We go back round now to the last part of the quadrant, which then this will be a square layer to the parietal ridge, which will then lift it up square, take it off. Last part, literally just to pull it out, a slightly rounded angle layer, off it comes. So that now completes the cut in its wet form. You can see as we go through this way, we can just sort of see we've got the layer moving around. So we've created interest in the haircut already whilst this has been done, this section. We've still got the length in the bottom, we've got the layers, and we've got some shape onto the face. What we're going to do now is we're going to go through the blow dry. What we'll do is we'll bring into it some beard oil, which we'll use to put through the hair. We'll also incorporate a little bit of hard muck at some point to put into the hair to also style. We'll then use a blow dryer, we'll use some rollers, and then we'll be back later. In the meantime, enjoy what you're doing tonight, and thank you very much for watching us, which will then come back for the finale afterwards. Take care, ciao for now.